Hi, welcome to the Three Times podcast. If you've ever wondered how a music festival happens and evolves, this is the episode for you. A behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to build a festival from scratch, developing a good idea into an annual event so popular that it now sells out in a matter of days. I'm talking to Craig Atkinson and Peter Alcroft about how the Allen Valley's Folk Festival came to be, and how they've pursued their ambition to make it the North's premier small folk festival by involving the community and paying close attention to audience needs.
Peter Alcroft, inaugural chairman of the Allen Valley's Folk Festival.
And I'm Craig Atkinson. I'm a volunteer organiser. I am the chair of the Allen Valley's Folk Festival at the moment. Took over from Peter last year.
Sort of, yeah. It's been a rolling transfer, hasn't it?
So can you tell me about the festival and its history, please?
Right, the festival, the idea of the festival was sparked by a guy called Andy Lees, who worked for the AONB, and he was putting in a large funding application to the Heritage Lottery Fund for this part of the world. And he thought that a folk festival would be a good idea as part of the bid. The overall bid value was something like 4 million, I think, to be spent on various projects over a period of, I think, about 4 years. And the Folk Festival was one of those projects. So he was talking to people in Allendale in 2003, trying to find a bunch of people who would be interested in setting up and running a folk festival. And we had a big meeting it was actually probably upstairs in the Golden Lion. And there were probably about 30 people around the table, all interested in the idea. I would say about 90% of them ran bed and breakfast organisations. So they were more interested in what it might deliver for them than what they could help deliver in terms of the festival. Anyway, we had this meeting. It was all very friendly. The next meeting was slightly smaller when people realised what the work involved would turn out to be. And there are 3 key individuals emerged from that meeting. I was one, Glyn Galley was the second, and Philog was the third. Philog is a local musician, he puts a lot of gigs on locally at Cinderhope, High Forest Community Centre. So those are the 3 key individuals. Glyn thought I should run it, probably because he'd seen me run Allendale Lions and thought, if I can do that, I can probably do this. So he thought, right, you have a go, you run it. Obviously, you have to be voted in, so we had a meeting at which I was voted in as chairman of the Allen Valley's Folk Festival. And Andy also wanted a financial anchor because we weren't a constituted organisation. And he thought that Allendale Lions would be quite a good financial anchor. So for the first year, we worked with Allendale Lions handling the finance. So it was actually a very difficult year. You've got 2 organisations all with different ideas, etc. And of course, anybody with the financial responsibility is going to find it quite a tough job, given the music industry. Because in fact the treasurer of Allendale Lions at the time was an ex-international banker and didn't have, in my view, the flexibility that we needed to handle anything to do with the music business. So it was quite a difficult year, but we did get through it. And we had our meetings from kind of October onwards in 2003, and we'd decided on a lineup in December 2003, but the grant decision was not going to be made until March 2004. So we put all the artists on standby. We said, look, you may or may not be playing in Allendale sometime in the future, but here's a provisional booking, knowing that that wouldn't be confirmed until March. And again, the decision on when the festival should be, the earliest decision we would get is in March. We didn't want to wait until 2005 to run a conventional midsummer festival. We thought it was more important to run the festival that year, because otherwise our enthusiasm might run out. And so we geared everything to running the festival last weekend in September. Once the grant was confirmed, and it was confirmed in March by Allendale, we were able to book the artists, and we had a festival launch event on Good Friday, which is April, I think it was April the 18th, something like that. Good Friday 2004, at which Bridie Jackson and the Arbor played, a Newcastle group, and conveniently they'd just been awarded Glastonbury Emerging Talent. So suddenly, from being not very famous when we started talking to them, they were actually quite famous when they appeared at the launch gig in April 2004. We held the launch gig at Cinderhope, which is a little venue down the road from here. It's about 5 miles down the road. It's a converted schoolhouse, wonderful, wonderful venue. And it was absolutely rammed. We had 100 people in there, just for the launch gig with Bridie Jackson. And so then we went on to sell tickets, because everything was absolutely new. How much should we spend on advertising? Where should we advertise? What are the ticket prices? What do you do about catering? What about workshops? And all the things that are now routine, we were developing from scratch. So yeah, it came to, in fact, the first festival was opened on a Friday by Will Pound, harmonica player. And I was looking at the tickets and noticed that we'd sold 17 tickets for Friday evening. But then, of course, we were also selling weekend passes. You never know how many of those would actually come to the gig. So I called my son, who played in a band called Sea Change, which had quite a good run. It was actually signed to Matador, which is a major American record label. And I was asking for his experience of audiences. And he said, I said, well, we've got 17 on the first night, what do you think? He said, Dad, that's an audience. and so, undeterred, we went ahead, and I actually had a pint of beer at about 7:15. I think it was, the gig was starting at 7 or something like that. And I looked in, and it looked full. Amazingly, it looked full. So a combination of those 17 tickets, plus people who'd bought weekend passes, plus walk-up, it looked full. I never really looked back. I was confident that from then on we'd be okay. Obviously, we had quite a bit of funding from the AONB, which lasted 4 years. So with the cushion of that, the difficult period came when we didn't have that cushion. Things had been fairly tight ever since, until I would say this year, possibly last, but certainly this year, where we've gained sufficient ticket momentum to confidently know that we can cover our costs, but in the past.
Mm-hmm. And what numbers of tickets do you think? How many you've sold?
Well, it's really it's in terms of numbers. Don't know, perhaps somewhere between 300 and 400, but that's a combination of various types, so it doesn't particularly mean anything. That all adds up to an amount of money, which hopefully exceed what it costs to run the festival.
And we have got quite small venues, so we use the church, St Cuthbert's Church.
Yeah.
And we use the village hall. Now the village hall is perhaps 160, 170 maximum in there when we've got a seated gig. So yeah, they're real constraints on ticket numbers for us, but they're beautiful venues, and they're run by great people, and we wouldn't change them for the world.
No.
Yeah.
No, so our ambition is to become the best small folk festival in the north. That's it. We're not going to go beyond that, because we've had various discussions about, tickets are going so well, shall we put a marquee? We've decided not to do that. Because, for example, this year, it might work, because there's so much demand to see Johnny Flynn, mainly, that we could possibly put Johnny Flynn, the Johnny Flynn gig, into a marquee, which would give us double the capacity. But what about the following year? You know, there's no guarantee that the same would apply. So we're happier sticking with a format that we know we can work with. It's fascinating stuff, isn't it? It's a real roller coaster.
Yes.
Every year, it's an absolute roller coaster. Yeah. I mean, we have daily ticket emails from Gigantic.
Yes, this email arrives in your inbox at about 8 o'clock in the morning, you know, and it's usually, oh no ticket sales. And then it's the other extreme where, oh my word, it's selling out very fast, you know, panic, you know.
Of course, the other thing is getting the balance right, because we have sold through a number of venues. We sell in the local shops, you know, printed tickets. We have in the past sold printed tickets in Allendale as well. There's a small cafe there. We used to sell tickets there. We used to sell tickets, printed tickets at the Forge, which is a local cafe here. We added the Queen's Hall in July, first year, as a ticket partner, if you like. And that was very useful, because we were able to put what I call the ticket hotline on the flyer, which is basically their number, with their agreement, of course. Because they were getting a lot of inquiries about, you know, timings and can we bring dogs and that kind of thing, which they seem to be quite happy to answer. And we sold quite a few tickets through the Queen's Hall over the years. You know, become part of their website. The promotion is slightly bigger by adding the Queen's Hall, and we've been promoting ourselves at the Forum as well. So but again, the quantities, obviously we sell fewer printed tickets now than we did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The balance is very much online, but it's working out what the decline might be, you know, kind of how we handle it, how many tickets do we print, etc., etc. So it's a different situation every year.
And we're very conscious of the local market. You know, we're really keen that local people should come to the festival.
Yeah.
So we have an early bird offer for local people, and we're selling the remaining tickets on Saturday in the local venue. Yeah. So we're really keen to.
Yes, the other thing is that whereas we would normally sell tickets through the post office or the co-op in Allendale, we think that demand for these tickets would be so high that we're not selling them through those two, because it would actually interrupt their business if we had a long queue of people wanting folk festival tickets rather than buying a chocolate bar, for example. We don't want to annoy people, no. So we've created a separate venue for the sales, Church Hall. Yeah. And it should be an interesting experience.
So you're kind of managing the growth of the festival, aren't you?
Yes, managing the growth,
in an organic way.
Yeah, we're very flexible about how we handle things.
Yeah. So you mentioned Johnny Flynn. Would you like to say a bit about Johnny Flynn for people who don't know about him?
That's this year's festival. So the festival takes place between Friday the 27th of September and Sunday the 29th of September. He's played at the festival before in the dim and distant past.
Yes, he played in our first year, I think.
When he was just a folk singer. Now he's obviously an international Hollywood star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the number of inquiries I'm getting from people about tickets for Sunday and seeing Johnny Flynn. He's doing a tour at the moment with Robert McFarlane, and they're just touring kind of the south of England, and they released an album. But I noticed when their tickets went on sale, they went within, minutes.
Very quick.
So he's doing a sellout tour in May, and he's going to do a few festivals over the summer, but I think we're possibly his northerly post. Mm-hmm. And he's obviously got links with the Allen Valleys. One of our stages is at the church is the David Crellin stage, and David Crellin was his brother-in-law, and he was
yes, he's one of the founders of the festival.
Yeah, one of the founders of the festival.
Died 2 years ago.
Died a couple of years ago. Yeah.
So
huge loss to us, really was.
Huge loss.
Yeah.
So John is related to all that. It doesn't mean to say he's been difficult to get hold of, because in fact we've been trying. I think we tried last year to get hold of him.
Just a very busy man.
Busy guy.
Yeah.
A lot of film work, etc.
Yeah.
All over the world.
Yeah.
So we're lucky to have managed to pin him down.
So we've got Johnny Flynn headlining on the Sunday afternoon. Two other artists on the bill that afternoon. We've got How Are the Lasses, and we've got Suntu Sousa, who is an African musician based in the UK, and I think the variety on that Sunday is going to be fabulous. Fabulous, really is. Obviously the festival starts on the Friday night. Got a local band called Watersmeet, Jess and Anna, based in Newcastle, and this is one of their kind of up and coming projects. So they're coming out to start the festival for us, and we've got Catherine Tighill in the Darkening, which is again a huge cue for us. Catherine's been fabulous when it's come to this festival. She's played here a couple of times before. She comes to our gigs. She's been really magic for us. Really, really brilliant. The Friday night's very different for us this year. We've had discussions in the past where we've thought Friday night hasn't really happened for us. It's quite a quiet night. Should we get rid of it? Should we remodel it, change it in some way? So we've thought this year we'll have a couple of strong acts on the Friday night, and it's really paid off, because people have bought those weekend passes. Obviously they want to come on Friday night, they want to come on the Sunday afternoon. They're going to have a brilliant time on Saturday as well. We've got stuff on in the afternoon. So we've got four bands, 4 artists in the afternoon. We've got the Reinigan Sisters, who again are one of our favourites up here. We've got Johnny Campbell, who's new to us, but who's making big waves in the folk scene at the moment. We've got Mishra, again, who are new to us, but who have got a beautiful, lovely sound. And we've got another favourite of ours, Wayward Jane, who are going to do our Family Ceilidh as well. We've got a Family Ceilidh later in the afternoon. Those gigs will take place in 2 venues. There'll be a couple of bands in the church, and there'll be a couple of bands in the village hall. Ceilidh in the village hall later in the afternoon, and then the burning of the Allendale Wolf bonfire.
Yeah, this is a wonderful development.
It's become a bit of a tradition.
Yeah, we were sitting around, we wanted something iconic for this festival to differentiate it from every other festival. And we were just sitting around in the, I think it was the King's Head at that time, had a meeting in the King's Head, wondering what this iconic thing might be. And so a bonfire came to mind, because obviously we have one on New Year's Eve, and Allendale quite enjoys a good old bonfire. So we had the idea of a bonfire, but what should it be? And we thought it should burn an effigy. Then that became quite politically incorrect. So
too many effigies to choose from.
That's right. So we thought, suddenly just said, what about the wolf? Just like that. We thought, yeah, what a great idea. So we thought we would have a bonfire right in the middle of the village square on the Saturday evening, between the afternoon programme and the evening in the village square. I mean, obviously the precedent is that there's already a bonfire on New Year's Eve, so presumably the parish council will allow us to do it. And that's where it all started. But it's not the same wolf every year. We've got a team of local people who are very skilled craftsmen. In fact, one of them works for, runs the Anthony Gormley studio in Hexham.
Oh, right, yeah.
Very, very talented, creative people. And every year they create a sculpture of a wolf, which is different every year. And nobody knows what it's going to be. even we don't know what it's going to be, because they do it at the last minute, because they're creative, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that's...
This relates to a local story, isn't it? The legend,
the Allendale Wolf
of the
does
Allendale
exist.
Wolf,
Yes, it exists as a local story.
Yeah.
So we've just, hooked up with that. And so, I think it was 2017, wasn't it, we first started it, and so we've been doing that ever since. It's a different shape, and the audience has just grown and grown and grown and grown. It's now a very big event, and it's free.
Yeah, so people who haven't signed up for the festival can come to that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got a number of things happening which are kind of free to the local community. We've got the bonfire, we've got gigs happening in the pubs, we've got gigs on the Saturday morning happening in the Forge. The brewery do something on a Friday afternoon usually, so there's lots happening. You don't have to have a weekend pass to enjoy yourself.
How can people find out about? Well, they can look on your Facebook page for the folk festival itself. Is there a way they can find out about all these other gigs too?
So we've got various social media platforms. We've got Facebook, got Instagram, and we've got Twitter X. We've also got an up-to-date website. allenvalleysfolkfestival.co.uk, which has got everything on there. Can I just say something about the music again? So on the Saturday night we have a dance night, and we've got we get rid of all the chairs, and we've got Turfu headlining, and it's like a rave sometimes, isn't it? It's absolutely
it's a rave. I mean, that's a bit of background on that. When we started off, Saturday evening was the only kind of high volume audience act we were thinking about. In fact, we had the Monster Cayley Band headline in 2014, which is dance. But then we thought that to encourage young people to attend the festival, we need to perhaps be a bit more extreme than that. And so I think the critical year was Ezra, who are a kind of French African band, completely unique. And I must say, within seconds of them appearing on stage, everybody was dancing. I must say, not unlike the Monster Cayley Band in 2004, within seconds people were dancing then. But Ezra, because they were so different, three musicians, guitarist, drums and bass, and I described them like, you remember Cream, the other Saturday with Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, Jack Bruce. I described them, I was talking to them in the pub afterwards, I said I thought you were very much like Cream, because here you've got three very powerful musicians, all doing their own thing, but gelling as a sound, which is exactly what Cream did. I mean, you might think there were a dozen people playing, they're so powerful. And so at that point we stopped thinking of just Saturday as being the main sales point. We were then believing we could achieve high sales on Sunday as well. Stop thinking of Sunday as a chill-out day, which we did originally. Think of it as a day where if you get the right act, we can fill the hall. In fact, as we have done ever since.
We've had the Unthanks, we've had Sam Lee, we've had Tallis, carrying Poet.
I mean, absolutely full, packed. I mean, maximum, probably over maximum, if you count the kids. Because we have kids who's going to sit in on the front. Powerful stuff, So, but as I started that trend on Saturday, so we're always looking for a dance-type act Saturday evening to close on Saturday, and then, Sunday. The Unthanks were by far the most successful Sunday headliners we had. Although, in fact, Kareem Polwart exceeded that last year.
I always remember when Catherine came up with David Armand and Amy Thatcher to do their Tales and Tunes. That was another magical afternoon, really was. Super.
Yes, and of course the artists enjoyed it as well. We get very big feedback. Sam Lee, really enjoyed that experience. He's a very natural musician, and we were talking about the kind of kit he wanted. And he said, "Have you got a piano?" I said, "Yeah, we've got a piano, but in fact it's the village hall piano." He said, "That'd be fine." It hadn't been tuned for years, but he was quite happy to play it as it gave a more authentic feel, to the gig. So
yes, that's when Sam Lee and myself did a version of the Chuckle Brothers, carrying this piano to me to you. But we try and kind of within the folk genre we try to have every element, and we're really, when we're thinking about our lineup, gender balance is a big thing for us. It really is a big thing. It's quite a democratic process, isn't it, when we come to choosing our
yeah, it is very
lineup.
democratic. It's more democratic than it was at the outset.
Uh-huh.
I mean, in the outset we had, I mentioned Philog and Gwyn Galley. I mean, Glyn is like a traditional folk musician, so he was charged with recommending traditional acts. And Philog is more experimental, modern, futuristic. So he was charged with hiring everything else. I don't think they ever met. They just developed, their own agenda, which eventually the whole committee agreed with, and that's what we ended up with. It was perfectly okay.
Thanks for listening to the 3 Times podcast. Please subscribe and tell your friends about it.